What is up, boyos? It is Water Buffalo Man here, and we're back for more Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle. Alright, with the honor of the Goku, I don't know why I used honor, but with UI Goku sign, the STR LR getting his EZA tonight, and seeing a couple of my boys do their how to build and what they recommend for their builds of their UI Goku, I thought, why don't I do my own? So let's really dive in and see how I am going to be building my UI specifically, and why I'm going to be building him this way. I'm not going to show off my build yet because I need to pull a couple more copies because I need to change a few things, but because of how they changed his passive, it adjusted a little bit of how I want to build it, but generally it's going to stay roughly the same as to what I'm saying now, other than I'm going to be subtracting a little bit of crit. But let me dive in and I'll explain why. Alright, so the new UI Goku, here's a little bit of a breakdown on, I'm not new, but EZA UI Goku. So you become Droma God's Key 4, 150 to stats, or STR Super Types Key 4 and 100 to stats across the board. His 18 Key Super greatly raises attack and defense for one turn, disables the enemy's guard, causes mega colossal damage to the enemy, and raises the allies' attack by 50% for that one turn. So if you have him in slot 1 and he super attacks, and you run his best linking partner is in the AGL UI Goku in slot 2, he's getting a 50% buff. And everybody else in that second and third slot are getting that 50% buff. As well as if, let's say, you pop the secondary additional, or the first additional, so you do your 18 key, he's greatly raising his stats. He's going to also normally raise his stats again, while still lowering the enemy's defense if they can have their defense lowered. So you're not only buffing your allies' attack, but still lowering your enemy's defense to allow them to take more damage when your two following allies attack. So it's a pretty decent combo. If you can get the 18 and the 12 key to pop off side by side like that, it'll actually work really well, which is why I kind of think this man needs to be built more additionals than dodge, in my opinion. Let me dive into why. I know a lot of you are probably getting your keyboard warrior forks out and getting ready to stab me through the screen, but I do not think this man needs to be built with dodge. A super high level dodge, maybe 8 to 10, but that's about it. I really don't see this man as being needed to be built with a higher dodge. So his passive skill post EZA is attack and defense of 177%. He gets, that's at start of turn. He gets Key +4 and a great chance of evading enemy's super attack, great chance of evading enemy's attack, including super attack for 7 turns from the character's entry turn, and high chance of evading the enemy's attack starting from the 8th turn. So, great chance is a 70% chance to dodge. High is a 50% chance to dodge. So you have a built-in 70% chance to dodge. So on average, you're going to dodge 7 out of 10 attacks. Okay. But with your passive built-in, not your passive, your hidden potential, each level for the dodge mechanic, I think adds 5%. Let me double check really quick. Let me pull that up for you quick. Alright, so here's the hidden potential. Well, actually, here's the whole hidden potential system and the max level each character can have. So, evasion. By upgrading this ability, your character will have a rare chance to dodge attacks. The higher the ability, the more likely you would dodge. So, if it was an int unit, the max you can get it would be to 20%. Level 20, I'm sorry. So again, being int, you get 1% per level, so he'd have a 20% chance to dodge. Being STR, which is what this UI Goku is, he can get up to a 15% chance to dodge with just the hidden potential the way it is itself. Meaning that every level you give him gives him 1% more chance to dodge. So if you build him like I'm building mine with probably, I think I'm going to go about 8 to 10 in hidden potential for dodge, that's going to give him an additional 10% chance to dodge on top of his built-in 70. I would much rather see him have the combo attack, which being STR, can get him up to a 30% chance to perform another additional, which that additional attack, the additional 30%, will allow me to have a higher chance of stacking 50% and then 30%, which was as well as buffing my allies and lowering the enemy's defense. But that's not even the biggest part of it. He gets an additional chance of evading enemy's super attack, or attack including supers, by 7%. On top of the 70% from his passive, for the first 7 turns, on top of whatever his hidden potential is. So again, if you go with my style, that's 10%, so that puts him at an 87% chance to dodge right off the rip for the first 7 turns, before he receives an attack in the same turn. Then, when he dodges one attack, he gets an additional defense of 77%. if he dodges an attack in slot 1, he gets an additional 77 attack. I think that carries for the full battle. It doesn't specify yes or no, but you do gain the attack and defense by dodging a super attack, or dodging any attack, I'm sorry. He does gain an additional key +1 up to 7 attack, defense, and chance of performing a critical hit by up to a 77%, by 11%, up to 77%. There we go, with each attack evaded. So, with you having that 87% chance to dodge right off the start, then you're adding in each dodge you get, you're getting not only more key, you're getting more attack and more defense, which allows you to take your basic attacks. I'm just gonna say basic supers. Your basic attacks and your super attacks a little easier if you have supered once or twice before. Halvard on Twitter actually has all the details and all the stats for what this UI Goku can do post super at 100% and at 55% with the perfect optimal situation available, which I'm going to dive into here in a second. But I think the highest I saw him say he could get is probably 1.4 million in terms of defense, but you're most likely going to be sitting at around anywhere between 800,000 to a million, which again, with a 70% chance to dodge or higher, maybe 8th turn or later, if you're still for some reason in a fight in the 8th turn or later, you'll have at least a 60 to 70% chance to dodge. But by that point, your defensive stats will be fully built up and you'll be hitting insane numbers in terms of offense, because I've seen this unit hit 15+ million on supers, and if you're doing double supers with the 77% chance to crit, you're kind of going to be hitting ridiculous numbers. And also, you link him with his best linking partner in the UI Goku, you have 77% chance to crit from his passive. You get an additional 5% here from linking with UI Goku, an additional 5% here. So that puts you, up to 87% chance to crit right off the get-go. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's only 5%. I read that wrong. I read that as a different skill. My bad, that's my apologies. You get 5% chance to crit, which puts you up to 82% chance to crit each and every attack he does. You gain an additional, with your links with the UI Goku, 5 key, 72% to attack, defense of 12%, an additional 5% chance to crit. But there's also something that this Goku does and this Vegeta does when they get their EZA at the end of the anniversary that allows units in that same turn, I think, an additional 5 or 10% chance to crit for that whole turn that they're on post super attack. So if you build it properly, you could have almost a 100% chance for this man to crit every attack along with this UI Goku. But there's a big but here with this. He's not gonna have any type of damage reduction, any type of guard. So you're going in there solely relying on him to dodge enough to get his stats built up. Going with my style of additionals. Additional and dodge is what I'm gonna go with. More additional than dodge, but I'm gonna go still with dodge with more additionals. You're relying on him to dodge every attack and get guaranteed one 18 key super off and maybe an additional secondary super off every turn to try to get those high stats. But there's something else you can in fact rely on if you have this unit. It's one of his actual 200% leaders on the global side that we only have right now, not counting the tech UI, which would be the 17 and 18. If you're running dual 17 and 18 leads, and you're going to have Gokus on your team, so it's going to make this pop all the time, this not their 18 key, their unit super attack, it'll raise allies' attack and defense by 35% for 2 turns. So if they're on the opposite turn, or if they're your floater, which you could theoretically run them as your floater, both leaders as your floaters have one rotation be UI and UI, one rotation be Vegeta and the Blue Boys from the Tournament of Power, the Fizz one, which they get an EZA as well, by the way. And with them getting the additional 35% every 2 turns for them supering, because there's always a Goku on rotation with either way you look at it with that setup. There's always going to be a Goku on rotation, so this is always going to be popping off. And you also got to count for the Kaioken Goku you can run as well, the Super STR that got his EZA. That's an additional 35% to the attack and defense of this man here every turn. Not to account for when they're on rotation with him, they get an additional, tournament participants, which he fits in. They get an additional 35% automatically, just as a support unit for him and the UI Goku and the other UI Goku. So there's the 35%, plus the attack, super attack 35%, as well as if they get 7 or more key spheres obtained, which they will once they switch over and get the randomly changing to int types, you get an additional 17 and 18% on top of that. Also, they buff themselves up with their attack if there's a Goku on rotation, which again, you need the Goku to get this to pop, but theoretically you could be getting, if everything falls properly and you have them rotating every other turn, one of these guys supering. I think these would stack too if you have one on one rotation, one on the next rotation, so by the third rotation, I think they'll stack up properly, but you could get 70% from, 35% from the passive, 35% from the attack, as well as if you can pop it off right, this additional 18% here, so that's going to put you to 87% attack and 88% defense, additional on top of what this UI Goku can do fully built up. So my opinion, I don't think it's a full dodge needed build. I would say it's more like 60-40 or 70-30, as in 70 a dish, 30 dodge. Maybe more 60-40, 60 dodge, 40 additional. Or flip that around, I'm sorry, 60 additional, 40 dodge, because of the way his passive is built and how much he could physically build up to defensive-wise off his super attacks, and just how much power he can output when linked with himself, the AGL variation. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, because we have less than 12 hours until this man releases on the global side. I will be doing the complete run-through of how to EZA him on the channel like I always do. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time for more Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. See you guys then.